Outdoor griddles can run into 3 common problems, including rust, uneven temperatures, and constant maintenance. Stainless steel griddles aim to solve all of these problems, but depending on the model that you're looking at, some prices can quickly escalate to well over $2,000. Today, I am testing the brand new Solo Stove Steelfire grill, the 22-inch model that starts at just $399 to see if it is the answer to all those common griddle maintenance problems, and the performance of stainless steel goes more than skin deep. Let's get into it. For most people, the performance of carbon steel isn't the issue. It's the maintenance. Things like keeping the rust away, seasoning and re-seasoning the griddle, as well as the cleanup routine is what puts griddles into a category of too much work for some people. And these are exactly the pain points that stainless steel promises to fix.
This time, it will be different. I promise.
But there's also a group of people online who are unfamiliar or a bit skeptical with this new surface. And this is exactly what I want to find out, not only for myself, but for those of you following along that want to see how this performs in the real world. So I've devised a series of 6 tests. This isn't just going to be an unbox, it's great, here's a cook. I'm going to throw everything I can come up with based off of years of experience and frustrations with different grills and griddles in the real world cooking environment, to let you know my honest thoughts at the end of the day if this is worth your $399. Now, a quick word on that is Solo Stove did send me this grill at no cost for review. I had access to it weeks before it came out, so I could do a series of stress tests, and I've been doing everything from 30 to 40 degrees Fahrenheit up to today's temperature in the mid 70s to make sure that we can give a fair and well-balanced view in terms of how this grill performs. So without further ado, let me walk you through the 6 tests that we've got in store for today. The tests that I've come up with are based off of my own experience and real world problems that I've experienced, whether I'm in the backyard, traveling at campsites and doing some camp cooks, and or even accessories like the carbon steel griddle that I had for my Big Joe Kamado, or you could use in a Big Green Egg, where you run into some of those same seasoning issues, and it's so large you can't actually fit it inside of a household oven in order to re-season it. It ends up being a bit of a maintenance nightmare, notwithstanding the fact that that accessory costs $250 all on its own versus an entire working griddle at $399. So I am genuinely excited and hoping that this meets not only the needs and solves the problems that I've run into, but I know from reading comments that thousands of other people are experiencing. So in no particular order, some of the things that I'm looking for include things like startup time. How long does it take before we're actually able to get cooking? Second is heat distribution. Do we have nice, even heat that we can do uniform cooking, left, right, center, front, back? Third is one that you would run into more often, especially when you're camping and or tailgating outside of maybe your favorite football stadium. For me, that's Buffalo Bills, where you run into some wind and that causes temperature control problems with the griddle. Next, I know this is on everybody's list, but this is the smash burger test. And can we actually get a proper crust on a stainless steel griddle? And while we're at it, we'll also be looking at an egg sticking test, as well as a full breakfast capacity. A lot of people like myself, a family of 4, have these griddles not only at home, but when camping, and I wanna make sure that I can get the amount of cook volume that I need. Before I got started with anything, I was curious. I placed this inside of my 24-inch Kamado, and I wasn't able to close it. So there is a lot of space, real estate that we can use on this griddle, and I'm excited to see how it performs with the full family breakfast thrown at it. And I've got one more surprise test left in the back pocket to share with you a little bit later on. So if stainless steel generally fixes all these problems, it shouldn't just do okay, but pass with flying colors. So let's get started with the first question, which I know is on many people's mind. So for our first test, this is one that I've run into many times at the campsite, which is how quick can our griddle heat up. If it happens to be a move out of your campsite day and you need to pack up your trailer and be gone on the road before 11 in the morning, you don't want to be waiting an incredibly long time for your griddle to heat up. And Solo Stove here has the claim of being able to be ready to sear in as little as 7 minutes. Now, when I did this test, and I'll show you the results here where I had it timed with my iPad, I remembered something a little bit later on. There's a small error with that. Based off the reflectivity of stainless steel, things like my laser gun don't give me an accurate temperature. And so after doing some reading, I found out of all my instant read probe has a thermocoupler that can withstand higher surface temperatures and actually give me a good view. So I let this run for 7 minutes, opened it up, and immediately we're seeing nice stable temperatures. Again, using the IR camera, which has its flaws, but later when I did the exact same thing, I was seeing temperatures approaching 500 degrees. This reaches temperature fast. And even just to prove that, I turned that on as I hit the camera and walked around to start talking to you. In a couple seconds, we are hot and getting ready to go. So that brings me to our second test, which also struggles a little bit based off the reflectivity of stainless steel, but I love giving a look with the thermal camera. When you have hot spots, those show up no matter the surface or the reflectivity. And what we don't want to see is a white hot spot in one part of our griddle and cool blue temperatures. And as much as I could tell, moving everything around, we were seeing really nice uniform temperature. And since I didn't want to rely on IR guns and infrared cameras where there are some technology limitations, we can do this, of course, the old-fashioned way and test the griddle by getting a loaf of bread, placing bread all over the griddle, turning it on and letting it sit for 10 minutes and flipping it over and see if we have any warm spots or cool spots. And I will say what I found here is what you would expect, seeing the burner. Even though we have a racetrack burner that pushes heat out to the corners very evenly, it is more in the center than it is on the outside edge. And if there's going to be a spot that is running just slightly warmer, you're gonna sear a steak, that middle area is giving us the highest potential from a searing perspective. So knowing that, when we get to our further test, I'm gonna do things like my bacon or sausages or potatoes when I wanna get a sear in the middle, and then move them to the sides when I want to keep them warm and get a little bit of a gradient temperature difference on the sides. But again, using the camera and my probe spot testing, we are within a few degrees left to right, front to back. So I'm gonna call this first test 2 thumbs up for even temperatures. Now for the fun one. Cooking outdoors has a natural enemy: wind. So, in the name of science, Bill Nye the Science Guy. Okay, the wind test. So we've already fired up the grill. It's nice and hot, as you can see. Close this up. And so my game plan here is to blast it with some wind, bring the camera nice and close together, and I'll get some high heat gloves and we'll open it up and see if we can still see some flames. Now, let's science the heck out of this. Ha ha ha. Moment of truth. Ooh, that's hot. Ooh.
Oh, that's hot. That's hot.
Hopefully you can see what I see. We've got flames. Now for the real test. If there's any truth to the fact that stainless steel might struggle to retain heat, it's gonna show up right here. That's because smash burgers, to turn out good at least, demand serious heat. Some of my soon I can tell you the secret details of this recipe, my rub. New rub, I should say.
Well, what is it? I don't know. What's in it?
So I did no prep to our surface, as I want to give you an actual look of how we're doing with no stick, but most importantly, our crust. I think that's looking good. Those are some good looking burgers. So far, this is going better than I expected, especially since I added no helpers to my surface. This is just raw stainless steel and smash burgers. Now, smash burgers naturally have a high fat content, and so I'm not surprised that they were able to flip with no sticking, but I am pleasantly surprised with the quality of the crust and the sear that I could get on here. But now I really want to ramp up the pressure on this griddle and cook an entire breakfast. So we're gonna do test 5 and test 6 together. So 5, we're gonna look for the eggs sticking, and test 6, I wanna see how this performs being able to cook an entire family breakfast. So to get started, I'm gonna season up some potatoes and throw them on with a little bit of oil and salt, and wait till I start to see some great crust developing. I'm gonna move those off to one side and then start to cook some of the things that take a little bit longer, like my bacon as well as sausages, until they start to look done. I'll pull the bacon off and keep the sausages going until I see well over 175 to 180 degrees Fahrenheit using an instant read thermometer, and then we can get to work on some of the fun stuff, including my kids' favorite pancakes, as well as breakfast of choice for many, some eggs. And as you can see here, in terms of how everything is moving along, including scraping, cleaning, and being able to keep going in one cook, this griddle so far is handling everything I can throw at it. So this is where I came up with my bonus test. So my bonus test, of course, is none other than steak. I love steak. And if this griddle wants to earn its spot in the RV and camping, it's got to be able to perform this mandatory item, at least in my books. And so a little bit of an unconventional cook here, but I took advantage of the smash burger warming accessory that Solo Stove has for this griddle and placed 2 New York strips seasoned up inside there and let them cook until I was reaching an internal temperature of just over 130 degrees Fahrenheit, and then cranked the temperature, added my sear sauce, and then put them on to see if 17,000 BTU is enough to get a signature steak crust without overcooking the inside. And boy, oh boy, were we greeted with an amazing looking set of steaks off this, where we got nice edge to edge doneness and an incredible looking crust. So final thoughts on the all-new Solo Stove Steelfire 22-inch griddle. Is it perfect? No, I can't say that it is, but also I've never tested any grill, griddle, or smoker that achieves this perfection bar. So how about the things that it actually aims to do, and how does it do against those? Well, first of all, I have to say I completely agree with what Solo Stove is calling this a commercial grade griddle. The gauge of stainless steel here is thicker than any Solo Stove product I've ever tested before, and it works in the real world. It also solves all those real world problems that we aimed to set out and improve in terms of ease of use, the cleanup and maintenance routine, as well as completely hitting the delete button on seasoning. That is a thing of the past, as well as proving out some of those concerns that I read online. How about the oval shape, or can stainless steel get hot enough to sear, as we saw on smash burgers and steaks? This is absolutely no problem. So in terms of my final thoughts, I think this is an amazingly well-packaged product, and at the price point that will appeal to a lot more people. Last year, when the 30-inch griddle came out, reviewers were giving this also the same thumbs up for some of those same performance considerations, but reading in the comments, people wished maybe there was one starting at a more affordable price, as well as being more portable. And this is exactly where I think you can't do anything other than give give the 22-inch griddle 2 thumbs up. Not only at $3.99 is it a great price, but it is incredibly portable in terms of moving it around, and I tested it in different locations from camping spots to down at the beach and everywhere around the yard in a variety of use cases to make sure that it performs wind, cold, warm, and it came through on everything that I could dream up and throw at it. If I forgot a test, let me know down in the comments and I'll be sure to add that to any upcoming videos featuring the 22-inch griddle. Also, again, thanks Solo Stove for sending me this griddle weeks ahead of its public availability, so I had time to do all these tests and form my opinion. And again, I want to stress, this is my opinion and my tests that I came up with to reach these conclusions. If there's anything I forgot, again, let me know down in the comments. That's it for today. I'm James from Smoky Dad Barbecue signing off. Remember, don't be afraid to fire it up, even if it is on a brand new griddle.